picture of me. That was when I was actually going back home to Los Angeles, and I visited the Museum of Ice Cream. So that's a waffle cone wall. It was pretty great. But yeah, I'm from Los Angeles. If anyone's from there.
Go blue.
Yes, I am from the University of Michigan. I'm the class of 2019, and I am majoring in women's studies. I am majoring in women's studies and sociology with a minor in law, justice, and social change and intergroup relations. They're two separate things. Yeah. Sociology is predominantly female. It's 69.3%. And I think it's important to not only look at gender, but to look at race. And when we look at it, this is data that's been collected as of 2016. And as of right now, of all the universities in the United States. And it's predominantly white. It's 47.6%, then 21.3% are Hispanic, 16.9% are Black, and 5.9% are Asian. I'm Asian. Yeah. And, for the most part, I think it's a supplement for what I really love, which is women's studies. And, surprise, it's predominantly female. It's 92.1%. And I think it's actually quite interesting how it's differing from this, statistics shown from sociology, because it's very much white dominated. And it's once we skip down, you'll see all the way down, it's 4.3% Asian. And I definitely see that in all my classes, because out of all the classes I've ever had, I've never met an East Asian man or woman in my women's studies classes. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, and sometimes I feel a little lonely, but that's not going to stop me from studying what I love. And sorry, but before I go on to that slide, I'd actually like to share a personal story with you guys about my journey to becoming a feminist and choosing the major I choose. Because growing up, the institution of education taught me, it gave me a very clear idea of what I was supposed to do with my life. I am an upper class, cisgender Asian woman, and it was kind of conflicting because of all those intersecting identities, because my family was telling me that I needed to enter into engineering or business or math, something male dominated, because that's where the money is. But that, and I knew growing up, even though no one ever told me explicitly, that any major that was female dominated, not only did it pay less, but no one was going to respect you. So, and education in elementary, middle school, and high school, no one ever overtly said that, but I knew. And I kind of was socialized into and accepted this idea that I could play the game, that if I worked hard enough, I could get into business or engineering, and I could succeed in a male-dominated field. And then when I went to the University of Michigan, I had a very bad wake-up call, because everything that I learned, it became so much amplified when I went to college. People would say such overt things like, oh, women aren't supposed to do this, women aren't supposed to do that. When I said when I was going to apply to Ross for the business school, I would hear so many men say, are you sure you can do that? Yeah. Are you sure you can handle it? And I also wanted to major in art history at the time. And people would also say, of course you would. So, you know, I had that like double bind. And you know what? It pissed me off.
Right.
And I was also super confused because I was a freshman in college and I was getting so many of these like contradictory statements. You know, it's empowering for women to go into these male-dominated fields, but at the same time, you're so fragile. So, you know, and I really struggled. And I think my biggest wake-up call was when I had a best friend, and he was upper class, he was black, and we started dating, and he was very homophobic. He hated black people. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it was an abusive relationship, ultimately, verbally, never physically, but it still hurts the same. And I remember this conversation that we had once where I was complaining because there was an MLK symposium and they recognized all races there except for Asian people. And you know, I was kind of upset. They didn't exclude, but they didn't overtly say we weren't part of that group. I just didn't like the fact that we weren't included in that. And then he said, "Why are you complaining? You're Asian. You're not oppressed." And I was like, yeah, I am. I mean, I faced so much bullshit this year. How can you say that? And then he said, "Look at you. You're rich. You're out of state. Look at the clothes you wear." And then I was like, it was so shocking because these are all the messages that I knew everyone was thinking about, but he actually said it overtly. And then he said, "There's so many black people right now who are getting shot, you know." And I thought it was so funny because it was the same guy who was so racist against black people, and he was using it against me. And then he said, "I bet your dad works overseas and your mom stays at home." And then I said, "No, I've never met my dad. And my mom is a single mother." And then he said, "But look at your major. You committed to a non-profitable major because you could afford to." And that day was the day I realized I need to be a feminist because, you know, like, fuck that. I don't fucking care what you say anymore. I would rather live a life of hardship and a life where I care about the thing that I'm studying and fighting for than be a person who's fed lies and who's spewing it all the time. And because I choose because I choose to be a feminist, it's pretty hard. People are really shitty to you. I've been called a cunt. I've been called a commie. You know, many things. But also because of feminism, I found who I am as a person. Like, I finally learned how to have healthy relationships because, you know, society doesn't tell you how to have healthy relationships. It really helped me on my path on mental illness. It really explained all the things that were going on in my life, why people treated me the way I was. And here is my residential community that I'm part of now. It's called the Global Scholars Program. And we're all about, you know, learning from different cultures and stuff. And I don't know, I'm very happy with where I am right now.